Welcome back to the rest of the story. Well, our problems aren't over yet. You guys are probably blinded by the light. As most of you probably are aware of, our gearbox went out in our corn harvester a while back. Probably about 2 weeks ago now, I want to say. Well, we got the gearbox back on, but we got a little bit of a problem. The auger that goes into the center of the silo goes into a gearbox. And the problem is, we can't get it lined up. We can't get it lined up, which means we can't run our sweep. And the problem is, if you guys can't tell, the corn in front of the door here is pretty well gone. The silo is coned out. Coned out means that we have all of the corn that we can pull out of the center without running the sweep is already pulled out. To a certain degree. That's not exactly 100% true. I'm eating a Starburst, hold on. Ryan's looked in here a little while ago. I don't have the flashlight, but he said that there is a lot of corn in there, and he says just sticking the camera in there just doesn't do it justice. But here's the problem. The only way to really get this fixed is climbing in there and lining that auger up on the inside back into the gearbox. Nobody's really running to do that job, but here's the problem. We've been pulling the corn out of here manually, just using the shovel, and I got actually a yard spade of some sort with it. It's a wedging hoe, but it works really well for pulling corn out. We get a little bit of a pile built up here too, because it doesn't all go down to our little chute. But that'll be the first thing we feed out in the morning or clean up. The plan is, and this is the part that no one's ever really crazy about, but to climb into this silo safely, we're gonna get the tractor up here. We're gonna set the blower up to the tractor. Hopefully it quits raining, because it's raining pretty good right now. We gotta go up, open the silo up, put the chute down into the silo, and we're gonna run the blower for at least a good half hour. Get the air circulated through there, get some fresh air in there because of all the silo gases that tend to build up in these things. The gas is what'll kill you. Other than, corn or something falling down and killing you too. That isn't my biggest concern, it really is just the gas. So the plan is, I don't know if we're going to get it done yet tomorrow or what, but the plan is to get everything set up, go through, we got to pull the bolts out. There's 4 bolts that hold this gearbox on, and we might be able to get away with it. Now we'll take the belts off. We got to take the shield off. Yeah, we're going to take the shield off, this bracket, and belts. And the plan is, Ryan can pull this gearbox out. I'm hoping it really doesn't have to go very far. Just enough that I'll be able to line it up on the inside, and then Ryan will be able to push it back on. Because where we actually got lucky with is the auger will still run. Set up like this, it'll still run and pull corn out of the center of the silo. So any corn that did fall down the cone, we were able to pull out. But the problem is, we weren't able to get any more. We just tried it again today. We just tried it again today, and we got one 5-gallon pail out of there. So we get all this mess cleaned up once we're done with this, because this just makes a mess of corn. Hopefully it won't be too bad. It's a really big drawback to these harvesters. I've said it in the past. When they unload from the bottom like this, the only way to fix, this one behind me also, the only way to really fix it is to climb in and deal with it. Man, when the gearbox went out, we had to pull the auger out of the center so we could get the gearbox off that auger. And the problem is it just won't line up in the center. So it's just a manual task now. Somebody's got to go in and line it up. Hopefully it won't be that big of a deal. The biggest issue is just getting the tractor and the blower and everything set up and doing it properly. Anybody that probably isn't aware of how dangerous this is just a big tank with no air supply. That's how these silos, they keep the feed fresh. They don't allow oxygen in or out. Keeps the feed fresh. Well, the problem is that corn produces gases, and the gases are heavy. They always told us that. Same thing like with this one. You also, it's not uncommon to hear somebody get hospitalized or outright killed, even in those bunker silos, when they're filling them up and they go down, like drive down into them, and the gases will kill you. Some of them you can't smell the gases. Other times, depending on what crop it is, you can smell it. This stuff stinks, and you can smell the gases if you get too close to the opening. And I'm not stupid enough to climb in there without having some type of air source in there. I've seen them climb into these hay harvesters before, because these actually produce a cone. When you first fill them up, you short arm the silo, and that actually creates a cone on the inside. And then once that cone is pretty well created, they long arm it, so you're pulling the silage off of the outside, and that cone, just the nature of how these silos work, that cone will actually stay in there until the silo is pretty well empty. I've seen them climb into the center of these in that cone. You couldn't pay me enough to do that. No way. There's a reason they get paid as well as they do. So that's the real big downside to these, as opposed to the concrete or the stave silos. The unloader's on top. You're able to climb up and fix it, even though you have the hassle of having to climb the chute. But at least if it breaks, you can fix it year round. These, it's a little bit more of a hassle, because we had to go through. Anybody that's wondering why we have this sheet of tin here down to the roller mill, and why we made all this mess, which can be cleaned up. The reason we did that is because we were pulling all the corn away from the door. The reason we did that is because it's going to be me climbing in there, and the problem is that if you don't get all the corn pulled back away from the door, because it was built up all the way around it, you run the risk of having an avalanche or a collapse of the feed that's in there and potentially block the exit. That is a real issue. We already had it happen twice when we were pulling out of this. We had the corn was actually built up along the side here to the entrance. I mean, it was high enough where you really couldn't see it just by looking in. And twice, as we were pulling corn out of there, it actually collapsed and overflowed, and I actually had to have Ryan, it took the two of us to get these slats back in to keep the corn from running out. So definitely being aware and watching out for all the potential hazards of doing this. If you want to have a job where you're safe and your chances of getting hurt are limited to your drive home and your drive from home to work morning and night, don't bother being a farmer. There's plenty of things around here that try to kill us, can kill us on a daily basis. And rather than being paralyzed by fear and being afraid of working on all this stuff, you just live with it and you get used to deal with it as it happens. So, all right, like I said, once again, wish us luck. Hopefully it's a non-event. A non-event as in it is a very boring fixed job where nothing exciting happens. I look for boring when you're doing for stuff like that. So thanks for watching. Take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'd say stay warm, but it's 50 degrees out right now. Anything north of 40 and I'm pretty happy. So I'll talk to you later.
And now you know the rest of the story.